Hey everyone, welcome back to The Capture Live. My name is Tommy Reynolds. I'm a portrait wedding photographer and photographic educator based here in South East England.
My name is Graham. I'm a portrait, family and newborn photographer, again, based in Kent. And we're live tonight in B22 Studios in Ashford. And tonight is a little bit different. This is our first ever conversation about.
Yeah, so just to give you a rundown of what to expect in terms of our format. So last time we did a demo, this time it's going to be a conversation. So we're going to be going live twice a month, and it's always going to be live. Nothing is pre-recorded. That's what we really love about these, about doing them live, is so that you can join in on the conversation. And tonight is going to be no exception. Tonight's topic is going to be talking about AI in photography. How does it affect us? Does it create opportunities, or is it coming after our jobs? It might depend on the industry you're working in. So if you can hear us, if you can see us, then please let us know in the comments, join in on the conversation. Anything we talk about, more than welcome to jump in.
We're going to be taking, hopefully, the whole point of these conversation lives is that we can generally have a conversation between ourselves.
Yeah.
We had to stop ourselves yesterday when we were setting up the studio.
Yeah.
Because we regularly have these chats, so it's nice to actually do it on a live basis, but also to get you guys involved. So if you are watching live, you can pose your questions. Even if you're watching the re-recording or whatever, then you can pose your questions as well. So, but it's nice. I think there isn't enough at the moment in the industry where we can have a conversation about what's happening.
Yeah, well, especially this topic as well. I mean, it's so on topic. It's such a hot topic, a hot thing to talk about. Because I wanted to actually start off. When did you first discover, or when did it become really useful to you? So I can think of an example of when I first discovered ChatGPT. I remember my friend. Years ago when it first came out, he sent me a screen recording from his phone. He made a blog post of, give me a blog post about the best venues in my area to create a blog post. And I remember when seeing it in real time, as you see in ChatGPT, where you see it formulated in real time, and it just blew me away. That was kind of my first kind of experience with AI and how it could affect and how I can utilize it. But when was your first experience using AI?
That's an interesting question, because whilst you were saying that, I was trying to think back to when was the first time that I noticed AI or ChatGPT or something like that. And I generally now think it's been in the zeitgeist or in the arena for such a long time now, for the last, 3-4 years potentially? Yeah. We've got a tech guy here, he probably knows, like, is it 4 years? Roughly 4 years, that's what I was saying. It's probably about 4 years ago, but I think it was when it started, funny enough, creating images, rather than, obviously it's cartoon images and things like that.
Oh,
rather than
but
the chat side of things, if you know what I mean.
Oh, generating images, but it was done really badly, wasn't it? It was never great. The prompts you had to give it were so specific, but it was never quite great.
yeah, exactly. And then obviously people started playing around with it, and there's always these trends that come around of creating certain images. There was that one where you could upload a photograph of your face, but it was a different app, and that kind of got taken down very quickly because I think there was some dodgy things going on in the backgrounds with that one. But that was probably the first early signs of AI and I think image generation in total, because I don't think people really knew about ChatGPT and stuff like that in the mainstream until it started creating images, which is interesting to this topic because we're talking about it replacing photography now, because the images are getting so good that you can't tell the difference between an AI image and an actual photograph now.
No, it's really, really scary how good it is going. I read a stat about AI in digital world. What was it? It was according to 2025 industry reports. This is from Digital Camera World. Photographers collectively have saved an estimated 89 million hours of work, equivalent to nearly 12 full-time work weeks per photographer. thanks
Wow.
to automated culling and editing tools. So that's obviously an example of jumping to obviously only last year of how AI is being used to help photographers.
Yeah.
And
So how are you currently using AI? Because we've both experimented with AI, you know, Evoto and all those other companies that are around. How are you currently using AI at the moment?
With the two key tools that I'm using, three key tools I'm using is ChatGPT, Imagine AI, and Evoto AI. They're the three main ones I'm using. As I use Evoto AI for my commercial work, and I use Imagine AI more for the wedding side of stuff. And ChatGPT is very good at helping me market or even just fleshing out ideas. It's really good for that. So that's what I think I looked at because on Imagine, you can, in your dashboard, you can see how many hours you've approximately saved, and
really?
it's at least 80 hours
Really?
of hours that I've
What is
saved.
that? What, last year or
Just last year.
since you've got it?
Last year,
Just last year.
just
80
last year,
hours.
80 hours I've
So
saved.
that's 2 weeks. 2 weeks worth of work,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, so that's been for me, it's been a huge game changer. I think in the wedding industry, because I'm more coming up from the wedding industry, that's more my focus. I don't think, if we're talking about how it's affecting jobs, I don't think it's going to affect the wedding photographer specifically, but it's certainly helping us with the tools available to deliver those images faster.
Yeah.
There are other industries that are ultimately affected, which we'll talk about, but in terms of wedding photography, I think it's probably one of the more safer industries, because I think ultimately you're going to want a real person there photographing your wedding day.
Yeah.
But certainly wedding photographers are using the AI tools in terms of the editing, not in terms of the shooting, but definitely
And even the planning side of things as well.
Sure.
Potentially with ChatGPT, you can plan out what shots you need. You can analyse, say if it's a venue that you've not been to before. This is me thinking off the top of my head because I'm not a wedding photographer. I was, 10 years ago, but not now. Even though I do a few every year.
Yeah.
But I can imagine you could use it if it's a venue you've never been to and it's quite some distance away. You could probably ask ChatGPT to find photographs of that venue, locations and stuff like that, as well as, planning out the day sort of thing as well, and automating emails and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's CRMs out there which no doubt wouldn't probably integrate AI in some way, shape or form, because CRM is more automated. It's not technically AI, but it's certainly helpful in terms of a tool to help you. And again, it's just part of that's no doubt a part of that stat that's helped photographers save so much time. But with your industry specifically, how have you used AI in your specific industry?
So just in portraits, like family portraits and newborn, for me, it's mainly been recently, in the last year, I would say, that it's got to that level. So you'd be looking at sort of Evoto, mainly, programs like that helped with skin clearing. And I would say on average at the moment, now that I've kind of got to grips with it, it saves me around about 10 minutes per photograph.
So what would you
still?
So what would you normally do then? So if you didn't have Evoto, you said it takes about 10 minutes. So what would that include? Are you using Photoshop?
Yeah, I'm still using Photoshop. So my workflow now, depending on the customer base.
Yeah.
I'm experimenting actually with changing up my workflow. So at the moment, I would have the photo shoot. I would then cull the images in Lightroom.
Yep.
Do a slight sort of preset that I've got because I do the similar shots every time, and then I would basically just apply that preset and then upload the images to an online gallery for them to select the images that they want. Once they've selected them, then I'll quickly put them through Evoto, so just the ones they've selected.
Yeah.
And then still go through to Photoshop effectively. So I'm still using Photoshop for the finer details because I know some of my pieces of work are going to be blown up.
Yeah.
I want to make sure the finer details are there. And I don't think, at the moment, I haven't seen an editing software that is that good that I would be happy, me personally, this might be just me being picky, being able to blow it up to a large size. But I'm experimenting with the idea of to make the images look better and probably on a sales basis to increase sales, culling the images, which you can now do in software like Evoto and Imagine AI,
Yeah.
culling the photos through those software, and then applying my Evoto preset or whatever, and then uploading it to the gallery, basically. And then just using Photoshop for the final touch-ups at the end. It does mean I've got to do more work up front, but if the images look better to start with, if that makes sense, then I'm experimenting with the idea, would that mean that customers are going to buy more extras?
And what finer details are you doing in Photoshop that at the moment, arguably AI is not doing for you?
Mainly it's, I would say newborn, it's not getting that fine sort of skin detail when you zoom in and stuff like that, like the peely skin and stuff like that. They are getting better at it.
Okay.
I've been using Evoto for a year now. I think it is getting better, and they are focusing on newborn. They've even got a whole newborn section now. So it's getting better every iteration. I can imagine in, I don't know, 2 years' time, might not even be using Photoshop.
I have to say, depending on the work I'm doing, so I do a lot of work with the National Lottery, and I can easily do everything inside it. Once it's cold, which I use Photomechanic, it's what I use for my wedding, culling my wedding stuff as well, a mixture of that or using AI to do that. I like to lean on myself doing that, something that I don't 100% have allowed AI to do. I personally like to cull it manually myself, but when I'm doing, say, like stuff with National Lottery, I can easily, once it's cold, do everything within Evoto, because Evoto has got such great tools, as well as the skin retouching, but also the it's got presets built in for basic color, and that's really what that client, for example, they want. They just want something a bit brighter, a bit nicer.
Guys, also, you've got to think about it as well, is a lot of clients nowadays, I don't know if you get this, especially I imagine with the National Lottery, but maybe not so much with the wedding, but a lot of clients nowadays just want the images to put on socials.
Yeah.
There's a lot less printing nowadays.
Yes.
Apart from specific pieces of wall art that I have, there's not much sort of small prints, you know what I mean, like 10 by 8s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's not as much of that compared to, say, 10 years ago when I first started doing the family stuff full time. That was part of my package deal, was to have some prints involved, and people loved that fact they got physical product. Now they just want it, and as soon as they get the images, they instantly put them up on Instagram before they even message me sometimes to say thank you, you know what I mean, or they've received them, or, you know, and I know they've received them because I can see them on Instagram. But I always pretend I haven't seen them, which is an interesting thing. Not make it look like I'm spying on them, you know what I mean? It's like, have you received your images yet? I know you have, because I've seen them on Instagram. But, you know, but that's the kind of, you know, you've got to follow the customer's wishes. So is it going to get to the point where, because everything's just going to go online, does AI editing need to be that detailed? Maybe I'm being a bit picky and a bit old school in being more detailed, because I know if I send a high-res print, a high-res image, I want them to be able to print it up to 20, 24 inches with no issues.
Yeah.
And seeing all the finer details and making sure everything's gone.
Yeah.
Do you reckon those kind of days are gone? And therefore that's where AI comes in, because most people are just putting it on Instagram, Facebook. It's their online album now rather than a physical product.
I think it's the latter, but also I think it's regardless of AI or not, I think it's fair to say that photographers are going to be more picky about details in images versus the average consumer.
Yeah.
So they might not notice, regardless of AI, of those finer details you mentioned. Guys, if you have just joined us, we are talking about AI. So if you want to join in on the conversation, if you've used any of the AI tools that we've been speaking about, let us know what industry you're in and how you're utilizing AI, because we'd love to hear from you. We're obviously talking a lot about weddings and portraits in the family side of things, but if you're in an industry other than those, then or if indeed in the same, just joining the conversation. But I do wonder if, not that I'm a corporate headshot photographer day in, day out, but I wonder if that is an industry that's going to be heavily affected because of the apps out there, as you mentioned earlier, how the average person needs a new headshot. Could they just snap a picture of themselves and use AI to give them a nice glossy headshot?
Especially if it's just for social media.
For
LinkedIn.
socials, LinkedIn, are the days of a commercial headshot photographer numbered? This is why I think, as a wedding photographer, I think it's one of the more safer industries, because as I say, you're always going to want someone there on the day taking your wedding images.
Based on that, what industries do you think, like photography industries, do you think will actually might be affected by AI in the next sort of 3 to 5 years, that might see less of them available?
I think e-commerce photography. I think when you look at e-commerce photography, typically you would have a model, hair, makeup. This is if you're obviously having a model wearing the clothes, and it's not just on a mannequin, but let's assuming you're hiring a model to model a piece of attire. You would obviously typically have a makeup artist, hairstylist, then the model, then you might have obviously the photographer, the location that needs scouting, whoever owns the location is getting money there. So all of these jobs are potentially affected because you can just photograph the attire and then use AI to put it on a model. And there is an example of H&M are using a thing called twin models. So they're taking their models on their books, taking their likeness, but generating AI images from their likeness with clothing that H&M offer. And it gets even worse than that. Someone like Mango, or what was another one, Levi, are using totally AI generated images, which, as you can imagine, have had a backlash.
Even the models aren't real?
No, in those particular examples.
Because there is obviously examples online now, on Instagram for instance, of fake models or fake influencer, basically, so that they built up a massive following. Everyone knows they're AI, but even these fake AI influencers on Instagram are getting sponsorship deals from clothing brands and drinks brands and all this kind of thing. I'm like, but they're not real, so they're not drinking the real product. They're not wearing the real product because the person doesn't exist. But because they know there's eyes on them, the brands are more than happy to sponsor them. So, and they amount tens, like hundreds of thousands of followers.
It does.
So that will modelling become one of those jobs in photography world, or makeup artists as well, that may slowly disappear? Because we're already seeing it when it comes to, say, social media influencers.
But if I knew that I was looking at an item of clothing I wanted to buy and I knew it was modelled on an AI model, I wouldn't buy it. How do you feel about that? Would you still buy a product?
Would you care? You say ideally you would say you'd care.
No,
but the example would be, you look at images of a Burger King or a McDonald's. Those images of those burgers, then the product you receive is completely different. And also, having done a little bit of modelling and done a little bit of, I don't know if I ever told you that.
You did model?
Yeah, when I was
Sorry?
at uni.
Did we all know this?
Yeah, I did a little bit of modelling whilst I was at uni.
Did you?
Yeah, I met, who's that big clothing brand? A female one mainly. I'll think of it in a minute.
You modelled for a female clothing brand?
They were going to branch out and do male clothing.
Okay.
They were building a male clothing range. It didn't happen in the end, I don't think. Probably because of me. But I can't remember my point now. What was I saying?
So, have you got the pictures still?
Somewhere.
Oh
somewhere.
my God, they're going up.
This was 2006.
I don't care.
20 years ago.
They need to resurface. I need to see these pictures.
I'll see if I can find them. When he had hair, yeah. Yeah, cheers James for that. Yeah, when I had hair. I did, yeah. When I had long hair as well, actually, down to here. But yes. Even then, there was such strict regiments of, if you had over a 30-inch waist, you're out. If you were under
Well,
6 foot, you're out.
Those days are kind of gone
Yeah,
as well.
this was
haven't they?
2006,
Yeah.
so that's kind of gone. So what was my original point here? I've kind of forgotten.
I don't actually know.
You kind of just like swooped in the fact that
I'm so sorry.
I was an ex-model. No, it's short-lived. It only lasted a few months. But what was my
Yeah, I
original
literally
point?
can't remember. You were going somewhere,
I was going somewhere with this.
and I
but
can't
forgot.
remember what I said before that. What was I going to? I can't remember.
Oh, so the whole point was obviously, would you care
Oh, that was
from
it.
the Burger King and McDonald's? You get the original image, because that was it. When I was on photo shoots and seeing models, and having done model photo shoots now, they are stitched into the clothing. So even the clothing, even if you get a real model wearing the real clothing, that's not actually necessarily what you receive. Obviously, that may have changed in the industry since I last was in it to that level, but they were literally sewn into the outfits, and you had clips on the back of you to make sure that the clothing fit absolutely snug. And then that's before even involved editing and Photoshop. So even the photographs with a real model and the real clothing aren't real to the product that's on the shelf in terms of someone's body shape. The same thing with McDonald's, is you get an image of a burger and then you get the actual product. It's nowhere near it. And people don't really care. So are we just being idealistic in saying that we would care, when in actual fact, when it becomes the standard that all the models that we see on a website when we're looking for clothing, actually, that is AI. Because they're not the same body shape or the same height as us anyway. So are we being a bit more idealistic? Yes, we'd love to have it as a real model, but to get the clothing cheaper and to cut the overhead costs.
Well, it's everything, isn't it? Because then you wouldn't need a makeup artist, hairstylist, location. You wouldn't need any of those things.
Yeah, and it might even get to the fact, this is my business head talking now, it might get to the fact that they start designing clothing, put the clothing on an AI model, right? Put it up on a website, and if people start making orders for it, they then start making the product. That way they save money, because they're not actually making a product until they know there's a demand for it. Because turnaround time for making a product now can be a lot quicker. So
there's a comment from Stephen. There are now AI models and content creators with sponsorship deals. Yeah, we spoke about that earlier. It's quite
it's
mad,
quite
isn't
scary.
It?
Yeah.
It comes. I was going to.
And who's controlling those influencers? That's the thing. Because some of the influencers, you don't know who's actually controlling them. So you could create an AI influencer now, right? Get loads of sponsorship deals and money and stuff like that. But you could have them do whatever, you know, going forwards. Once they've got I think now, what it comes down to, and although a lot of people in the industry have been saying this, is it comes down to brand. If you have a recognisable brand, a recognisable face in the industry, then that's value rather than what you look like and stuff like that. It's whether you're recognisable rather than...
And the numbers of followers you might have.
And the followers, and people associate you with a certain brand. Because did you mention yesterday that someone, they paid for someone's likeness, but even though they were using AI clothing, they still got paid a commission?
That's right. So that was the example of H&M, because they call it twin models. So that's how, and they're using the likeness of a real model, but it's AI generated image of their products. Yeah.
So going back on the first question, was what photography businesses as a photographer are ones to potentially avoid in the next 3 to 5 years? Can
you ask that question again? I got distracted by one of our comments. I'm starting to think these two are AI generated.
We are not.
If you were going to generate us, you'd
make us better looking. Plus, it's kind of, well, we did say this yesterday, you've got the same colour hair now as my beard. So literally, we could be AI generated, because it's like can't come up with a colour scheme.
Who's worse off? I don't know.
I don't know. Combine us together and we've got the same hair colour all around the face. But, Yeah. Stroke of grey. Love it. Anyway.
Anyway.
So what industries? If you're coming out of college now, out of university, with photography degree, and you want to get into photography, on your looking forwards, obviously been in the industry a long time, same as myself. What industries would you say for people to potentially avoid?
To avoid?
Yeah.
It's really hard to say. It's really hard.
Sorry, James just put the word Temu AI generated.
Temu AI.
Yeah, with the cheap versions.
We're discount
Discounted.
Temu. We're not even. We're not even there.
We're not even good quality.
Not even Primark.
No.
Temu.
Yeah. So, what industries would you say to people getting into photography now as a profession? Do you reckon people should avoid? Obviously, we said about e-commerce being one of them.
Well, I'm leaning to that. I'm leaning to e-commerce. What would your answer be?
Any e-commerce or branding, because branding is very big at the moment. But I think it comes back to something else that I was going to discuss later on, which was how you can protect yourself. But I think you hit the nail on the head right at the beginning in saying it's down to the experience. Whatever profession you get into that may be, even photography or whatever, any profession that you get into now that could be replaced by AI, if you don't bring an experience to it, so having a photographer on a wedding day, they're hiring you, the photography and the experience that you bring. And I don't just mean the sort of experience as in you've been doing it for so long.
No, yeah.
But the experience of actually having someone on site.
Well, I think that's going to be the thing across all genres. If in this AI-generated world, what's going to make you unique? It's you and the experience and what you can give to your client. That's ultimately, I think it's even now. There's such a there's so many wedding photographers, even here in the southeast.
Yeah.
And I think the only way you're going to differentiate yourself in this AI world is the experience that you give to your couples and your clients. So I think that's safe to say across all industries. It's you can make perfection in AI, but what AI can't give clients the experience that you can give.
It's a bit like having the studio here is, I'm now personally thinking more towards how can I make the experience for them better?
Yeah.
Not how can I make my photography better? Because if they have a great experience from start to finish, they're going to talk about it and they want to come back because they had a great experience. Like going to a restaurant, you go to a restaurant because you want that experience.
Yes.
It's cheaper to cook at home.
Sure.
And to be honest, some places you can probably cook better at home.
Yeah.
Like takeaways and stuff like that. But you go there for the experience of being in that place, that venue.
The experience is now probably more valuable than the product itself, because now we can learn how to create amazing dishes, learn how to make the best coffee from home. But it's that experience, as you said, going to a restaurant, and that is now, I think, more valuable than the product you're given. Yeah. It's how can you. So we had a comment as well from. So Stephen said avoid product. It went the way of 3D rendering, and with the advancement of AI, you don't ever need to know how to 3D model. The other would be real estate. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because even websites now, you can pretty much get AI to code your website. You just need to know what you want. And I think it now comes back to, this is a thought I had the other day actually, I'm just having it again, is what is photography really? If we go down to the basis of what is a photographer and what is photography, at the end of the day, it's an art form. Mm-hmm. Okay, so put apart, obviously the experience of coming into a studio and having a photograph taken is one thing, but I think now photographers, because we've got all these tools to hand, AI, different backdrops, we can change the lighting. Have you seen some of the stuff that Premiere Pro is coming up with?
Yeah.
You can change the lighting in a video after it's been shot. And the same in photography, like it 3D renders what it thinks was there, and you can change the lighting afterwards. So all those creative decisions are becoming easier to do. Therefore, as creators, we have to be more creative. We can't just be copying everyone's style. Everyone needs to stand out on their own now, because I see a lot as a family photographer, I see a lot of photographers on Instagram, and I can't tell them apart. It's the same sort of window lit image, which is very in fashion at the moment, I'll give you that. But I can't tell the difference between different photographers as I scroll through my Instagram feed, if you know what I mean.
But
so
what
there's not a lot of creativity there in terms of how the image looks. I think that's what we need to lean on more, is go back to thinking photography is a creative art form.
But you're also looking at the final product. You're not seeing the creative process in each of those different photographers and what how they may be different in their approaches. Because of course, you can get from A to B, but how are those photographers getting from A to B? That's the thing, and that's why behind the scenes do so well, because people are so intrigued in that creative process. And again, when I talk about how the experience is as valuable as the product, when I mean experience, it's how do you make your client feel? Because that is not what you're going to be able. AI is not going to be able to.
No.
Going to be able to.
Well, that's why I said taking experience out of it. The actual experience of coming to the studio and meeting a person is from a customer's point of view, if every photographer, if you've got 5 photographers in your area and they produce their images, you can't tell the difference between 5 different photographers because they're producing the same style.
Yes.
Then you're going to go on cost.
Yes.
And also, does it then become a point of, say, in 2-3 years' time, if it's just easier, I'm going to upload a photograph and just use that style?
Yeah.
If you know what I mean. Whereas if you've got 5 photographers in your area and they're all different styles, then you're going to go for the one style that fits you.
Yes.
Because there are, having been in the industry a while, you can have photographers doing the same niche, like newborn photography, for instance, and different newborn photographers have their own completely different style.
Yeah.
And I can tell by looking at the image, I know who took that before I even looked at the name.
Yeah.
Because I know their style, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
So for a new photographer coming into the industry, I think we've got to lean on the fact that we need to be more creative. Use the tools that we've got with AI, otherwise every photographer is going to look the same. And then the customer is just going to think, well, if every photographer is the same, I'm going to go on price, or I'm just going to get AI to generate the image for me.
Well, this is why I said that the experience matters so much, because as you said, if you're judging it based on just the final product of 5 photographers all look the same, they're going to go on price. Well, how can you then differentiate yourself? And that's the experience and how you make them feel. That's
what you got to sell it on.
That's what you really got to sell it on. So you really have to lean in as we go into 26. Is how can you show off your creative process more, because that has so much value, especially if you are choosing a style that's popular,
very
that
popular.
a lot of people seem to like.
Exactly. So you got to go on the experience and recommendations and reviews rather than anything else. That's how you got to sell yourself. But
which means that it's very hard when you start out to want to. If I get this lens, I will be better.
Yeah. So you go down that rabbit hole all the time.
Of course you do.
You always do.
But you more so for a beginner, I would argue, going down that rabbit hole. But when you're more experienced, don't get caught in that rabbit hole, because you should know by now. You should know better that it's better to spend that money instead of buying that prime to get invest in something else, like invest in courses about storytelling, like that book that you and I have both read about, the marketing storyteller. I forget his name, but investing in education is going to be way better to invest your money in, and to show your creative process, because that all makes you vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because vulnerability is a weakness, not a strength. It's a strength, not a weakness.
You've got to be relatable as well.
Yeah.
Like if you're doing family photography, like I've tried to avoid it, but I think I'm going to have to start showing more of my family life as well, to show that I've got a family, I've got kids and stuff like that, which I've kind of shy away from a little bit because I didn't want them being on social media. And I'll put my hand up and say, if it wasn't for the fact that I have to use social media for work, for publicising things and even this live stream and stuff like that, I don't think I would be on social media as much as I am.
Mm-hmm.
Probably nowhere near as much as I am. Well, I don't know if that's because of my age, because being a millennial, I don't know. That I wouldn't be able to. Thanks.
Yeah,
But I think I would be bored of it. And I think there is supposedly there is a group of young people that just don't want to go down that road. And they've already called on, especially with AI and the AR glasses that are coming in, they're already calling when mobile phones will be a thing of the past and everything's going to be on your glasses. Therefore, social media won't be as relevant. And there's a fight at the moment over who's going to create the sort of AR community online,
right.
sort of thing. And there has been a drop off of people using certain social media platforms.
Has there?
Yeah, like Facebook and Instagram, especially in certain age categories, if you know what I mean. So if it's not, now I even said to people that are in business, I said, if you're not doing videos, then there's no point, because photos don't get you enough views. You can't just put your work out there. Like what you said, you can't just put the final product image online. You've got to show behind the scenes videos. You've got to talk about you. You've got to put yourself out there a little bit more. If you're not doing video work or reels, then there's no point.
It is very short. Yeah, it's very difficult. It's almost like you're sticking a film on and starting from an hour and 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
It's like, well, what happened before that? If you show that creative process and you get kind of that narrative arc, that beginning, middle, the end is the product.
Yeah.
I think if you can show off that creative process, start. And this is something, as we're talking now, that something I need to do a lot more. And I've definitely shied away from it since having my son. That I need to get back into it and want to get back into it. And I want to do a portrait series where I don't use AI. So my next portrait project, which I haven't done since 2018.
Wow, it's been that long.
Was it 2018 when I did Tina's video? I think it was. It was the last time. It was right before Michael Mowbray, the cinematographer. He was a week away from becoming a dad. That was the last portrait of.
Wow, yeah,
and my next portrait of, I want to shoot entirely on film.
That would have been 6 years because that was 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to shoot it entirely on film. And I think shooting portraits, shooting people on film, I think is the perfect blend, because we are imperfect, we have imperfections, and so does that format, and so does that medium. And digital's too easy. So I want the idea of doing that specifically on film. So I think that'll be I want to use one light, medium format, black and white film, no editing. That's my next project.
That'd be really cool.
I'm even hoping to even market it maybe like a just me sessions.
Yeah.
Rather than the opposite of fine art. And fine art has its place. Absolutely. It's almost like if you were comparing a full orchestra to an acoustic set, they both have their place. You can't really choose one or the other. They're so different. So there still has that place, fine art, but I like the idea of like simplifying a session and maybe calling it the just me sessions, or just a continuation of a portrait of. But yeah, that's what I want to do next.
And then go completely away from AI and advertise it as such as no AI used.
Because
is that going to be in the future? Is that going to be
I wonder,
potentially a thing?
I think it is, because people love the idea of nostalgia in film, and I think it's because people want to kind of get away from AI, and it's a lot of my wedding couples who are Gen Zs love the idea of a film package added to their. And it's interesting that they like that nostalgia. I think it's the equivalent of millennials enjoying vinyl, because I love the idea of vinyl. You actually have a hard copy of something, you've got artwork, so I appreciate that format over CD or streaming. It has its place. Again, comparing streaming to vinyl, I can't compare because they both have their place. Sometimes I just really love the idea of putting a vinyl on.
I think it comes down to convenience and then your art.
Yes.
Because there's creating a vinyl, the artwork on it, the physical touch, because we've got to use all our senses when it comes to art as such, that it's nice to have that. If you know, you pay extra for that feeling, for that emotion attachment, whereas other things is convenience. So you could break it down even to like buying mugs. That is it going to be in the future that because every product that we buy is made by machine, AI and robots and stuff like that, that actually we're going to pay a premium when, if someone said to me this mug was handmade by a lady in Leicester, and you can see the slight imperfections in the handle or the way that it's been painted, would you pay extra for that because of the imperfections, because you know it was made by a human, not a robot and AI?
Well, it's very similar, isn't it, to another author we like, Austin Kleon. I think he gave an example of this, and I'm going to tweak it slightly based on our conversation. So imagine you're in an art gallery and you see two images side by side. Let's call it painting A and B. They both look exactly the same, even down to the brush strokes. You cannot tell the difference between these two. You even have to ask a member of staff, excuse me, what is the difference between these two? Now, the example he gave in the book, forget which one it was, he said, oh, well, painting A was painted in the 18th century by this very well-known painter when he was 6 weeks away from his death, which was lost for many years, but we found it. Wow. And painting B? Now, the example in the book is, he said, oh, well, painting B was done by a student last week who wanted to see if he could replicate it.
Right.
What if I said to you, oh, painting B, it's an AI-generated copy.
Yeah.
Now, even though perfectly the same. Now, even though they're exactly the same, which one would you rather take home and put on your wall?
Yeah, exactly. You got to go with one with the story that's been,
because you've attached a story to it. There's a narrative to it. That is the valuable thing. That is how you can add value to your business. Again, it comes back to, it's not about the product. It's about the experience and how you can make the person feel.
Yeah.
They can go away and talk about that experience. So there's a story attached to the product, to the images you've provided.
As long as, obviously it comes down to, say, my experience with having done family shoots, as long as they value that story. There's a certain percentage of customers that just want the photographs, so just they can put it on Instagram, so they can just show off in a way.
Are they your client?
But they're not my targeted client, but it's a lot of the clients you get. That's the thing. People love that story and love finding out about you, but is that story, you have to target that to a percentage, I would say a smaller percentage of customers that value that story. Same with the film idea. There'll be a smaller percentage of people that would love to have film used on a wedding day, and would pay extra for that service. And though it's worthwhile having, you're not going to get it 50% of the time. It will be a 10 to 20%. I think it would be the same in the analogy you gave. I think most of the time, when it comes to convenience, people just go for AI.
Yeah.
If they value the story, that's the trick. How do you target or market yourself towards the customer that values the story behind the image and the experience? Some people are quite happy to take a photograph. Like, I've even seen it now, and I can imagine people that don't have a lot of money and that wouldn't be able to afford a newborn photography shoot. You can literally take a photograph of your baby, upload it to somewhere like ChatGPT, give it all the instructions, even upload reference photographs, and it creates, we've talked about this a while ago, and it creates you a series of newborn photographs with your baby's face, and then they use those to then upload to Facebook and Instagram and say, oh, this is my baby, welcome to the world, and that sort of thing. Even though that image is 100% fake, even though it's using your baby's likeness, it's not a real photograph. What I personally, because I'm in the industry, I personally would be like, well, why would I want that image? Even though it's my baby's likeness, that never happened. They were never in that position. They were never wrapped. I personally, because I value the art and I value the skill and I value the story behind it and the experience of going to a studio and doing that, But I imagine there is a percentage of people that would be happy with that.
I don't know. I would rather, in that, knowing that it could, if I wasn't a photographer and I didn't have a good camera and nice lights,
Yeah.
I'd still rather take as best an image I can on a phone, knowing it's not going to be as good as a generated image of my child. I'd much rather it be a phone image and I print, because then I'll know at least that's
A real photo.
that is them.
Yeah. But I suppose we're talking now, but in obviously 5-6 years' time, when the next generation of people are having kids, or the next generation of people are having families, for instance, just talking about the family and newborn industry, will they think different because they've never had that experience? It's a bit like us now. We could probably live without the internet. We probably don't use the internet as much as someone in their late 20s, early 30s.
Well, I think we're very lucky that we were born at a time where we can remember a time without the internet, and obviously it's very much here. So I think we're the perfect age, and also we can still keep up. Someone like my dad loves the idea of tech, but he says, "Oh, I'm too old. I would love to have kept up, but I can't."
Yeah.
Whereas I think we're the perfect age to have seen a life before it. Whereas obviously Gen Zs, this is all they know. Yeah. I remember when I was around my brother's house so I've got two nieces, and this is when they were much younger, and I really felt like I was in a different generation when my brother said, "Guys, if you don't be quiet, I'm going to turn the internet off." Yeah. And that was like, that was weird.
That's weird. Just turn the internet off as a threat.
As a punishment. Obviously that was never the thing when we were younger.
No. It was like, come in. It's you're not allowed out. You're grounded.
Yeah.
Now it's the opposite. You got to go out.
Yeah.
You got to go out and play.
Yeah.
Go get off the internet, sort of thing. But I suppose it's time will tell whether that happens. So, what was the last sort of questions I had here? Do you remember that? But this was actually a thing that I was thinking about, because we're obviously talking about photography in general here. But when we've talked about photography events and shows and stuff like that, so if we look at the other side of photography as photography in general, not just as professionals, is it really going to change the landscape for hobbyists? Because as we know, most cameras, whether that's professional cameras, compact cameras, film cameras, anything like that, 80 to 90% of them, probably more than that, are actually all sold to hobbyists. They're people that aren't actually doing it as a profession. So a lot of people that are watching now on this live stream or watching the re-record, they're probably hobbyists. They're not professionals as such.
Yes.
So is it really going to change the photography industry that much in the aspect that Nikon, Canon, Sony and all the other companies would still be making cameras? They probably wouldn't make. I would like to see a statistic. I would love to see if maybe that's something I'll look at afterwards, are less professional cameras being sold now than 10 years ago because there's less professional photographers?
Possibly. I mean, certainly when you and I worked at Jessop's 2010?
Yeah, 2011.
2011 when it went down. So Graham and I used to work at the very popular camera chain Jessop's here in the UK, but there was obviously one of the reasons it went down was because of the price of the cameras. People were coming in, getting the free advice and then going away and buying them on Amazon. But I don't know, there wasn't many compacts being bought because this is when
camera phones got better.
Camera phones were so much better than they were 10 years or 5 years prior to 2010, 2011.
That's a perfect point, because when I joined Jessop's in 2007, I would say a weekend on a Saturday, we were selling, even just in our local little town here, not in Bluewater, which is a big shopping centre, just in our local town here, we were selling, 30 to 40 cameras a weekend, averaging 150 to 180 pounds a camera, plus memory cards, spare batteries, cases and that sort of thing. And then that's how they generated money. But as soon as the compact camera sales dropped, the income wasn't there anymore, because none of the professionals really used Jessop's as such, really at that time, and probably still don't to a certain degree.
No.
That's where the money is going to drop. But is that industry, is the hobbyist industry, do you reckon, going to change much with AI? Do you reckon it's going to grow, shrink, or? Because I can
In
imagine.
terms of what? Buying new cameras?
Just getting into photography.
Getting into photography.
As seeing it as a hobby, as such. Or are they going to see, oh, it's so easy to make an image nowadays, what's the point in me going out and buying a camera and starting photography as an art form?
I think it's either a camera phone or mirrorless camera. It's either your camera phone or a big camera to do, because did you ever notice that new parents bought bigger cameras? Was that ever a thing? Because I noticed that when I worked at Jessop's, a common reason for buying a bigger camera would be because I'm about to become a parent.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would say 50% of the cameras, even the compact cameras, people are buying a camera because they're going away on holiday for the first time with their family, or they've just had a kid or whatever. They're buying a camera because they're starting a family. Whereas now, are most people happy with just mobile phone photographs, especially with like the new iPhones coming out with multiple lenses on it. The images look great, touched up on AI automatically on the phone. They're probably happy with that. But someone that is going to become a hobbyist might think differently. Or do you reckon people might go down the film route? That actually the hobbyist photographer in the future, because of AI, they want to get into it, but they're going to use film.
Well, I know that, again, I think film and digital can't be compared. I think it comes back to the vinyl and the other analogy I gave. I don't think you can compare those, but there seems to be a, in the wedding industry, people love on-camera flash. And so they've, having said that, I did read, and I forgot about this, that the compact cameras with built-in flashes are on the rise with Gen Zs, because they want on-camera flash specifically, because they love that trend, which is translating over into the wedding industry. So my niece, for example, even as a prime example, she said, oh, I've bought a new camera. It was a second-hand Nikon Coolpix from 10 years ago, but she got it because it looked nostalgic and it had an on-camera flash for selfies, that sort of thing.
Well, Nikon have brought out a whole range of, is it Nikon? Nikon or Fuji have brought out a whole range of cameras that look nostalgic. They're based on old cameras.
Oh, Fuji have been very much, they're kind of known for that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to own an X100 Mark, whatever it's on now, 7, 6, 7, 5, 6, I don't know. But because they look beautiful. But also, but I love the idea of that. And it would be my weekend camera because of the recipes you can dial in to your JPEG so that they look like a film image straight out. So I can see why. Fixed lens, can't change it. Yeah. Restrictions. It looks cool, looks beautiful. People always talk about the experience of Fuji. Yeah. My Canon R5 is a tool. I don't get I don't get as excited about it as when I pick up a Fuji if I owned one. I bought an R6 Mark II because I knew I needed a backup because my 5D Mark III died. I bought it and did not feel excited about that purchase at all. No. I bought it because I knew I needed a backup, but it was just, it's similar-ish to the R5. It's just a tool. I wasn't excited about buying it, but I knew I needed it. Yeah, exactly. I'm the same way. Even I've had my Sony camera now for what, 5 years? Does that make sense? We just deleted all the chat. I think I've just got rid of the whole chat. I can't refresh it. But sorry, I'm not excited to buy a new camera. I'm waiting for that camera to go before I buy a new one. There isn't a camera I've seen on the market. I was a techie guy. Do you have a weekend camera? Do you have a camera that isn't your workhorse camera? No, not really. Like, I've got cameras like a smaller Sony, which I would probably take out on holiday and stuff like that, and I use for behind the scenes filming. So I'd probably use that, but I didn't purposely buy it for that reason. I would actually say that, and I have this question asked to me quite a lot from customers is, oh, you must have loads of photographs of your kids. And I'm like, actually I don't, because I do it all the time during the week and all day on a Saturday
When it comes to days off with my kids or going on holiday, I want to enjoy that time that I'm not taking photographs. It might be something I do when they're older and me and my wife just go away on holiday together and we don't take the kids and they've left home or whatever. I might get more into travel photography then because I'm going back into that hobbyist sort of stage, if you know what I mean. But yeah, I don't actually have, and it's kind of in a way embarrassing but also not. I don't have that many photographs that I've taken of my kids, but when I do take photographs of my kids, it's for a purpose, like a Christmas shoot or for someone's present or Mother's Day or something like that. We've got it planned in and booked in and I want it to be really nice. I want to work on it, if that makes sense, rather than just loads of like snappy holiday type shots. I don't have like a little camera.
But I bet you've taken more of them on your camera phone.
Oh yeah, definitely, most definitely.
More than your mirrorless.
Yeah, but then I think my wife does that more. Like I think there's actually more photographs of me in the gym.
I do not doubt that in the slightest.
Than of my kids on my phone compared to say my wife. My wife will have loads of photographs of the kids because I only get one day off a week with them. Then that's what I'm doing. I'm focusing on spending time with them. So to kind of wrap this up a little bit, how do we, as professionals, going into 2026, how do we protect, we kind of touched on this a little bit, but as a roundup, how do we protect ourselves from not being fully replaced by AI? What would be your sort of 3 things that people need to be aware of to not be replaced by AI?
I think you mentioned video. You have to embrace video. You've got to embrace the story, the narrative of your business. You mentioned about showing more of your family. I think that's a great idea in your industry, probably in most industries. I think it just shows vulnerability. Show as much vulnerability as you can. Give your work, your process a narrative. And the third one would be don't fixate on the gear and fixate on the final product. Refer to points 1 and 2.
Yeah, exactly. No,
that's a cop-out third.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think it comes down to giving the customer the experience.
Yeah.
That they're paying you for, they're paying for a photo shoot, but what does that photo shoot involve? How does it start, beginning, middle, end? Like, what are you giving them? How can you make the experience of coming to the studio or having their portrait taken wherever it is, maybe it's outdoors or whatever, how can you make that whole experience as worthwhile to them as possible? How much value can you give as possible? And using AI tools to help with that. Help with that process.
Use something like ChatGPT to give you prompts and helpful tips to accentuate that experience, like even down to when you start with the email about offering tips and advice before arriving, when they arrive, what do they experience? Is it warm? Is there a smell? Is there music playing? Is it music that they already that they love, that they were unaware that they told you about in a questionnaire years ago, like I do, for example, in my questionnaire?
I'll give everyone that's watching this a slight tip that I'm thinking of using and implementing is sending out a questionnaire before the photo shoot, which is what I do already. What shots do you like? What you got and stuff like that. And then actually ask them at the end, what's your favourite drink? Just random questions like, what's your favourite drink? What's your favourite snacky food? And then have that at the studio ready for them. And that sort of thing. So all those personal touches that AI can't do, all those imperfections in terms of products, if you're buying a mug or whatever it is, that's what we got to bring. All those little things that they can't get from just uploading a photograph is the experience. But there might be some industries that can't offer that experience, like e-commerce and stuff like that, that maybe it's easier for them to
well, maybe we can talk about, that could be the topic of our next conversation. Maybe we can go into more depth and specific tips and advice about exactly what we bring to the experience. As I say, it's loads of little things. Stephen Bartlett talks about the 1%, the 1% tip, or there was a famous Tour de France, the Team GB cycling, sorry, they implemented the 1% thing where they tried tiny things, lots of tiny things to improve their game, and that they ended up coming first. So it's not just one. It's not just one thing. It's many different things you can implement to really elevate yourself that add up to a bigger picture.
So when is our next stream?
Extreme. So
do you know what it is?
I don't know. Do we?
Okay, so it's well, we're hoping it's 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks.
So basically, from now on, all our streams.
We meant next conversation.
Conversation. No, next conversation. So all streams will be live, and they'll be every 2 weeks. So our next one is in 2 weeks' time, which is on the 2nd of March, and that will be a live studio demo of some very exciting equipment that we've not used before, and we're the only one in the UK that's going to be having it.
Yep,
I believe.
I believe it's a.
Do we give away the answer now?
We'll,
do we hold on to it?
We'll tease you. It's a Portuguese company, and we have been given special access to a brand new product that's manufactured there. So we'll show you what that is very soon.
And then the next actual conversation like this will be on the 16th of March, where we're going to be talking about our experience at the photography show, because it's actually the same weekend. So
it is.
We'll see what we can see that's new there and stuff like that. But yeah.
Sounds good.
Been a good first conversation.
It's not bad. Cheers, mate.
Cheers, mate. Have a good one.
I'll see you next time.
I'll see you next time, yeah. Take it easy, guys.
Take care.